to wait till spring and then get Mr. Gray, who does most of the state's work now,
Yeah,
and they're very satisfied with him, to this spring patch that spot after the frost is out of the ground. In talking to him, we're going to need someone to oversee that spot every 2 or 3 days, and he wants us to use coal patch, which I was going to say stay Matt, but he's in agreement to use coal patch. So we would need to have somebody like Zach take the 1-ton dump truck and go all the way to Pike Industries in Coventry.
yeah,
Near Coventry. I've been there before. To get 2 or 3 loads of coal patch and dump it right there by the back street pump station. We'll put a big tarp over it. And as we need it to do the patchwork and have it compacted at the same time, so when so needed. I don't think we're going to be spending a lot of money here for coal patch. 3 small loads like that isn't going to cost a fortune.
no, it's be about $600.
About $600. Okay. So this is what we've come up with. I've already talked to somebody also that said that they could oversee that spot, take care of it when it needs the coal patch for approximately cost of $200 to $300 every time, if he has to repair it. So, in doing so, let's say that they had to do this once a week for the next 14 weeks, we're going to be spending between $4,000 and $5,000, which is a hell of a lot less than $24,000. And I don't see Gray Paving charging maybe $10,000 to fix that spot.
Doubt it'd be that much.
And I doubt it. And then, like Zach just said, he doubts if it's going to be that much also. So I think this is the route that we should take. And I talked to even Joel on the phone about this. And I couldn't call you, Mike. I tried a couple of times, but I don't know if it was my phone. Come to find out, it was my phone. It wasn't working. So I couldn't call you.
Rang.
But I mean, I think this is the route that we should take. Like he said early this morning, he says it's been holding up pretty good the way it is right now. We just got one little spot that's got a bump in it, a 2-inch divot that could be filled in with some of that coal patch. Wednesday, Zach said Wednesdays was a good time to do this. This morning when I talked to you.
It'd be midweek.
Midweek would be a good time, if we needed a couple of flaggers and you could help us out for an hour. Then we could get that done. So that's where we're at right now. And if anybody else got comments about this? I mean, I think this is the best route to go for now. And that it's already starting to settle, because naturally when you dig a hole at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to be compact to get every 2 feet, 3 feet, which wasn't done. So it's going to settle. It was, yeah.
We compacted the first with a compactor.
Yeah.
We compacted the first 5 feet, and then Dylan punched it
in with that. So that's probably why it's starting to settle a little bit.
Last bit of it, but that was all native soil. Bank run gravel. So,
yeah.
The biggest thing is not, in my opinion, not really having to convince these guys. It's trying to convince Jason, because he's like the state commissioner.
Well, we don't. I told what's his name this morning. We do not have the money.
Yeah.
We don't have the money, and I'm not going to spend $24,000 on something that's going to get flushed down the toilet this spring and have to redo it all over again. I mean, they have to understand that. And I asked Mr. Gunn, I said, well, if this was a problem, or you had a culvert that failed and you had to fix the culvert in the middle of the winter time, what would you do? Says the same thing that you're doing. So, I mean,
I would just hate to
get going on it and we do it, and then the state comes back and says, well, that's not sufficient, you're gonna have to redo it to our specs. That's the only thing I would want to make sure.
You mean your spring?
Yeah.
Well, if you use Mr. Gray, they've been using Mr. Gray to do all their paving.
Right, but there is a spec that they
I'm
want.
sure Mr. Gray knows what that spec is. We can ask him.
Well, I would want to see it from the state side first. That way we can confirm it's all just communicating with each
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
Because I think this plan is fine, and as long as it meets what the state wants, then by all means.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why I wanted Jason here, so we could sit there and try to explain to him. And I'm sure we wouldn't have
Is
to.
Jason available at all?
No, I've called him on his office phone. I've called him on his work phone. I've sent him emails this morning. So
See,
he was
I received my most recent email from Jason not that long ago. It was today. I'm trying to see here. Okay, so maybe my day flies faster than I thought. It was like 10:30 this morning that I was in communication with him. Has he been told about this update? I know, Mark, you said you were speaking with Robbie.
I
Do we
think
know if
Robbie
this
was gonna get a hold of him and talk to him. It was my impression.
Okay, but we don't yet know for sure that he's
No.
agreed to this.
correct.
Okay.
I know that if we do this, so what I'd like to do, I would like to have some extra signage put up. Slowed, reduced speed, bump ahead. Is that something that we have in stock here or?
No, well, I mean, kind of, but the biggest thing is just cutting down the part leaving town and filling in some of that bump,
Yeah.
some of that hole.
Yeah,
And from then, as long as I can hit it at 30 with my truck without the plow flying off.
Oh, yeah. yeah.
Because right now,
I
the
think
one
we need
that's
an
leaving
email
town-
from, and do you think we need an email from the state guy that's gonna say, yes, we will agree to that? Because otherwise you could do this and he could turn right back around and say, I don't care what you did, here's what I expect, and you must do
I
it.
mean, you and I both know if you're gonna haul hot top all the way from Massachusetts near Boston in 3
Yeah,
hours'
that-
time, that hot top ain't gonna be worth crap.
No, they've got heated truck beds.
Yeah, but still, it's not gonna be the same as summertime.
No.
Right. So what I want to
And-
make
and-
sure that I
and-
have everything right so that we can put together an email to Jason explaining what we've discussed and getting his seal of approval before we proceed. Because if we don't have a seal of approval, we're just gonna have to start all over again.
Well, I'm not signing no contract of $24,000 and they don't even want to prep the hole. They don't want to do
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, we have to go.
And there's no
through it.
guarantee. There's no guarantee with you from these guys. I just think for the ratepayers, this is a very unfair situation that we're in here. If the state forces us to do this, and maybe we need to make a phone call to this, to somebody in the governor's office or something, because this is
I
very
think-
unfair.
Why don't
I think
you
we
make a
start
motion?
with,
Why don't you make a motion to approve the plan as proposed by Mark, pending approval from the state transportation people? And then proceed to seek that approval. That way you don't have to come back to a meeting.
Yep.
And this way they
Joel,
they
you
know that
read
we're
my
going,
mind.
this way they're going to know that we're gonna be keeping an eye on it and we're gonna take care of it. And I told Mr. Gunn, I says, if there's a problem with any of it, call us, call me. I mean, I gave him my phone number. I says, call me if there's a problem. Call Zach.
So the other
We'll
thing
take
we're
care
gonna
of it.
need, Mark, hold on.
Hold
The other
on.
thing you need is we need an agreement with this person you say that's going to watch it and only bill us $200 or $300. We need an agreement between us and them that says, here's what you're gonna do, here's
Oh,
how
yeah.
much we're gonna
So-
pay, and who's gonna approve every time they're going. You
May-
can't
may I-
just leave it up to some independent contractor.
May I interject? By end of day,
Yeah.
you may have a road foreman. So I would suggest that maybe we utilize them since we'll already be paying them through the town.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm fine with that, but if
With that-
we're using an outsider,
yeah.
it has to be spelled out in the contract. You can't just leave that as a handshake.
No.
Let's do that then.
So let's make sure we have everything before we start making the motion. So I just want to make sure I understand this correctly is our role in this is that we will continue to monitor through either a contractor or through our road foreman if we have the position filled by the end of the day to ensure that it's meeting that standard and it's being overlooked. And we will present a cold patch or use a cold patch and patch as needed to maintain to that flat level.
Yep, that's exactly it.
With the intention that we will be hiring, and I'm guessing Mr. Gray is Gray's Paving.
Yes.
I would not specify I would not specify
No,
them
I'd
because
hold
you're
off
gonna
on
have
that.
to, you're gonna have to get 3 bids.
Yeah.
Right,
we'll
it's
have
gonna
to
be a
hold that off
paver.
Till spring.
But I'm
Right.
just trying to make sure that I have the information because names were thrown around. So we're going to be hiring a paving company to pave it in the spring.
Correct.
Okay. So if I can get a motion to proceed with the cold patch process and a paving contractor in the spring with our oversight to the road, pending approval from the State Department. Anything else we need added into that?
Yep.
State Transportation Department. We can start there.
Yep.
Do we have a motion?
I make that motion.
Okay. Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Okay, so that's gonna be done. Now, as far as, do you guys want me to draft this version and send it over to Jason, or do you guys want to have Mike or Joel or Noah do it? Who do we want to have communicate with Jason? Me? I have no problem doing that.
I think you've already started, so I think it'd be good to continue that relationship.
I have no problem with that.
If that's okay with everybody
now-
else.
I just want to make sure I was following my instructions. Marching orders are important. Curiosity, do we have more information about, like, I still have very little information on what happened other than there was a break, there was a hole, and now we need to fix the road.
Yeah, it was
Any-
it was a force main break that broke. It broke either Thursday night or in through Friday morning. And how it arose to our attention was Kean found it. And so I thought that it was just gonna be basically off of the valve pit, because off the valve pit, it converges into a single pipe, 4-inch cast iron. And I thought it'd be right in through there. So then I hired Andy immediately to come down and start digging it. And we started noticing that it wasn't coming from the ground, rather, it was coming in between the layers of the asphalt of the road itself. So then we went on the other side of the road to maybe try to pull the water, try to find an easier spot for water to travel, and that still didn't work. So I had Dylan Orpeza track his excavator down and start just cutting into the road. And we closed the road down, got down to the bottom of it, and it ended up being it was a 4-foot split on the pipe that was filled with rags, hygiene products, all that fun stuff. And upon trying to take that pipe out, we noticed that it looked like it was cut. One of the bell ends ended up rusting completely off of it. And before that, Andy convinced me to go through EJP and buy the necessary amount of pipe to get us on either side of the road And
With new pipe.
yeah, with new pipe, and that's exactly what we did. I called EJP, got them, with the driver coming up. We dug it down, exposed everything. Cut that pipe out, set new pipe, put sand all around it so that way no rocks or anything would poke it in the next 50 friggin' years. And then just, we just high maxed either side of it and called it a day.
Okay.
And
The only reason I asked is because a bunch of things were alluded to recently. And I just want to make sure I understood the facts because we all know what happens when people play the game of telephone. And yeah, thank you for that information. I was trying to figure out what really was the truth behind what occurred.
Nope, it
I'm
was not.
still, if I could ask, I'm still a little confused, Ozak. Was there a connection between the amount of stuff that you found in the pipe and did they cause the pipe to break somehow?
No, what usually happens is, it's kind of like a minor detail. It's just a 4-foot crack on the pipe. With it being a 4-foot crack, you've got, hygiene products, rags, towels, stuff like that. It'll just start filling in the crack. And that's basically all that happens. There was no
This just
bond
brings-
or anything.
It brings me back to Marty saying there are two things you can flush down.
Yeah.
Rags, like legit rags and towels.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, I know that the new pumps we've installed have all been grinder pumps that are supposed to be able to address some of those. But can they really address if someone's...
No.
This is before the grinder? Okay, I'm like, how do we prevent this? What corrective action or what actions can we take to prevent?
Really, yeah, the biggest thing would probably be education. The other thing is we've already taken our corrective measure. Because then, I don't know, in my opinion, you sit there and you tell people, hey, probably be best if you don't flush all your maxi pads and shit like that down the toilet. Then it starts becoming,
And it just gets worse.
Yeah, it'll just get worse. It's almost
Mine goes
Okay.
through.
yeah.
It's a test.
flushes
It's a
through my
test.
toilet. What's the problem? So
Okay. I just didn't know if there was something that we could do education wise or whatever to help without exacerbating the situation, to help mitigate this from happening in the future. If there was anything we could do, we could.
yeah, what kind of scares me is the more you educate them, the more it kind of seems like it's deliberate.
Look what
I hear
went
ya.
on Pleasant Street.
Well, you had Pleasant Street. That was just an old junk. It was just junk. The biggest thing that we've kind of got right now is just would just be Meadow Street. That one we pull probably about once a week, and with that one, it's actual rags, t-shirts, towels, crazy stuff like that.
How do you flush that stuff?
I don't-
literally.
That's impressive.
I have no idea.
So
Double
they
flushing.
have these
Yeah.
things you can put in the bottom of your toilet that make it so this can't. Like if you tried to flush something like that, basically blow up your toilet.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think
And
the
there's-
biggest thing that people worry about is as long as the toilet does what the toilet needs to do, they really don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's
The
no
water
way to
keeps
narrow
coming from their
down where it's
faucet.
happening.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Kind of narrowed some of it down. We have a general area of where we think it'd be coming from because everything else has been switched over to, grinder pumps or chopper pumps. And except for one area. So,
Okay. You know how to get a hold of me, right?
yep.
Okay. We can, you and I can chit chat and figure out some plans
Yeah.
involve hammers.
Well, while we've got you here,
Um,
Zach, should we ask you, is there any other things on the horizon that we should be looking at? You know, is there any other major, I mean, we have water treatment plant and all that on the horizon, but
Yep. We've got, we still have the leak that's up on the South Reservoir.
yeah, we're waiting.
That's
That we should be hearing from the grant that we wrote for that, which should cover the cost of relining that.
Well, it's
reservoir.
not the relining of it. That one there definitely does have to be relined, yes. It's the, oh, let me see, it's the pipe that's going from the gatehouse to the valve pit. That makes sense. That's the one that goes from the little blue building over to a hole in the ground. And we're losing about 30 to 40,000 gallons a day out of that one.
I thought we had.
I thought
So
we had
when I
narrowed
asked
this
about
down.
this, that was not, I was told that it was that the liner was gonna fix that leak, and that's why I applied for that. I could have applied to replace that pipe.
We still need the liner. However, with the pipe, that should just be a matter of putting a Band-Aid on it. I believe that's, you know, over the years, everything, you know, trucks and stuff like that vibrate the pipes in the ground, and it just causes a little pebble to start poking in the pipe.
So you're saying that the reservoir liner is, the problem there is not the cause of the 30,000 gallon a day leak? It's this pipe? Or do we have two?
I believe it to be the pipe. Because it's enough to where Kean can pick up on it, but it's not enough to where you go further down the bank, you can see water dripping out.
Oh,
It's
you
kinda-
can.
No, you can't.
Oh, you can.
No. It just kind of seeps slowly into the ground. Which,
slowly can it seep if you're losing that volume water. That's not slow.
Those are lead.
well, that's about
Oh, I know.
like, that's like about. a guy's-
Hydrogeology.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm thinking, we've already gone through and had a contractor come up to find all of the wires and, you know, all the fancy stuff in the ground. And then from there, we were just gonna start at the valve pit and start working our way up the hill until we found our leak and just throw a Band-Aid on it.
So we don't need to have another grant to solve that.
Well,
We
let's
can-
get the grant anyway to do
keep-
the liner.
Well, we'll do the liner.
Well, I was gonna say,
yeah,
we're
I mean,
getting the
that's-
liner.
That definitely still needs a liner, yes.
But we don't need another big project. The Band-Aid's gonna be affordable.
Affordable.
Yes, yeah, it should in theory be
Okay.
affordable.
In theory.
In theory, if the theory changes, you'll give us a heads up so we can go find more money.
Yeah,
And that I think, if I remember the project correct, that pipe is supposed to get replaced anyway as part of the big project. But it depends on what we end up having to do. If we
exactly.
have to go to the well, I think that pipe gets completely decommissioned somehow and they move it somewhere else. I forget how they're doing that. I'd have to look at the PER again. I don't
What size
remember.
pipe is that?
It should be 10 inch.
It's a 10-inch.
Yeah,
So that could be. I was at a job where they had a 10 or 12-inch pipe. And they sent the machine in and they saw where there was a few places that was broken. Not big cracks, but you could see the cracks in the pipe on the video.
yeah,
Well, they went in and they did half a mile of relining the inside of the pipe.
yeah,
And it's been holding now for 30 years.
yeah. This one here is just, it's simple enough to where you just dig down
Yeah.
the pipe. If you have water that's filling in your hole, you throw a pump in there.
Yeah.
Start pumping it out and you start working your way up the pipe
Because we were
until
getting
you don't
seepage.
have any
Yeah.
water.
We were getting seepage in that pipe
Yeah,
because of the water table.
No, we're up on top of the mountain, so it's more or less of just seeping out
That'd
of
be
the
hard to find.
I don't think it'll be hard to find at all. Once
No.
we get down to the pipe, it'll be very saturated, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then-
Band-Aid's cheap.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
It's $80.
And we'll see what condition the pipe is in when you expose it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it should be.
I bet
in-
you it's another one of those,
It should just be bell ends
yeah,
that just,
break.
well, not, it wouldn't be a bell end that would break. It would just be, I really think that it's just a rock that's just embedded itself in the pipe. Um,
That's what happens when people are overseeing. Engineering is supposed to be overseeing what's going on the job. And
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
push back in what they took out.
Okay. So is there anything else that we need to go over? Let me just double check at this. Don't think there's any other business, right? We have our next meeting on, I don't know,
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
next Tuesday,
Monday.
Tuesday.
next
Why was I
Tuesday.
suddenly coming up with Monday?
Monday's
Yeah,
a
I was gonna say
holiday.
Monday, Tuesday the 21st. Okay.
And be thinking we need to move the February meeting that date. So be thinking
Yeah.
when you want to move that too.
So, just so everybody knows, the kids, this is what I'm gonna ask, because I won't be able to attend the February meeting. I don't know if everybody knows about the Tri-County Kids Fishing Tournament. I didn't count the weeks properly when I was setting up the dates for packet pickup. And I gotta get the packets out for 200 kids to go fishing that week. So I won't be at the meeting, so we would either need to bump it to a different date, and I'm open for quite a few days that month, or somebody else would have to run the meeting.
And I'll be
Your guys'
driving.
choice.
I
And
Mike-
prefer we move it because I'm driving that day.
Mike won't be here either.
You're talking next Tuesday?
No,
No,
next month.
February.
Oh, in
February.
February. Okay.
So if you
The
guys
fir-
can look at your schedules and come up with some options so that we can pick a new date at our meeting on Tuesday for our February meeting, I would appreciate that. Unless Zach wants to go run the fishing tournament.
Quick question, Mike, on the notices of people who are in arrears of paying their bills. Have you mailed those out yet?
I have not.
Good, good. Could you
We're gonna
hold
go
off
over
until
'em.
I
I'll
hold off
pull
till our
the
meeting?
I'll pull the list on Tuesday before our meeting and we can go over
Yeah.
it. I'll put it on screen and we can look at it.
I just wanted you to hold off
Actually-
till that meeting.
Yeah. Well, actually, we can't put those on screen unless we go into executive session because you can't.
We'll go into
show-
executive session for delinquencies.
So.
As
yeah.
I've done some considerable research and I've talked to the Vermont League of Towns and Cities, and I've talked to the attorney there, and I've got a bunch of stuff I'd like to present on how we're going in the future going to collect these delinquencies for what other towns are doing, and we need to start being hardball here and start collections, and they don't mess around, these other towns. I spent a lot of time on this, so it's an executive session. We're going to be on it for a good half an hour, 45 minutes to an
Well, the
hour.
executive
maybe.
session will only cover going over the bills. Anything we discuss on how we're
Oh,
going
then-
to deal.
oh,
with
we can talk
collections or
about
whatever,
that
that's all
before?
public record.
Oh, okay, then that's fine. Okay.
It's
You know,
just,
like I
just
said,
for the
it's
I-
individual
peoples.
accounts, but it has to be an executive session.
Yep, so.
Do you happen to have that in writing, like the processes?
Yes, I can download it again because I already
Yeah.
looked at it.
Just
Yeah,
to
and say,
let you
'cause as
know
long
that
if-
whatever laws were passed during COVID have all been rescinded. We do not
Right,
have to
right.
tell anybody
Yeah,
to
you know,
go
we're
and-
back to the regular
We're
collection.
back to that. We can turn water off. It doesn't matter what time of year. So, and this is stuff I'm going to talk about, and I have the laws written down. I can give you the RSAs and where these laws are, but Mike can also print them for us if they'd be fine. But
Okay,
the
as long as
collection
I mean,
thing- We have a lot of new things now that, on how to collect. And that's what I'm going to be bringing up at the meeting.
Insane. I have quite a bit of that stuff, been in collections and all that stuff for years. So we'll discuss the hows can be discussed in the open meeting. The who's have to be in executive session. So we'll make sure that that is on the agenda for the next one. And I think that's, unless anyone has anything else. Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
See you later.
All right.
Oh, before you
Anyone
guys go-
opposed?
hold up. Before you guys
No
go,
one's opposed?
hold up.